Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from Our Half Acre Homestead, and we're boiling sap today. And I'm going to make Dutch oven supper and maybe even a little loaf of bread. But we got to get the bread started first, so let's do that. So in my cup here, I have some warm water, some sugar, and a little bit of yeast. And I'm just going to drop some flour in there. Give it a whisk. Set that aside. And we'll cover it. And we'll start supper. Okay, so as you can see, it's going to be a pantry pull Dutch oven fireside dinner. Fit that all in the title. Now in the fall, when I did the last of my celery, I cut it all up and just bagged it. Don't do that. This is what happens. So I'm going to have to do some stabbing here, which I don't recommend. There. A little bit more. All right. There we go. Put this in a little dish. So here we have celery and onions. I'm going to pour a bit of hot water over these just to thaw them out so they don't take as long to cook. And these are our main ingredients: celery, peppers, onions, mushrooms, mushroom soup, and a can of canned pork, or a jar of home canned pork. If you're wondering why we're doing so many scallop potato videos, this is the reason. These are all wrinkly. All right, I've got 5 potatoes. And don't ask me to plant store-bought grocery potatoes. Even though they have eyes, a lot of places spray their potatoes with an anti-sprouting agent to slow down the sprouting. It doesn't necessarily stop it. So if you want to plant potatoes, do real seed potatoes. Or save some potatoes from your harvest the year before for seeding next year. I don't do potatoes. I have a war with potato bugs, and I have never been able to do anything with them. I always have this set on the potato. I'll show you it in both directions, okay? All right, I'll show you. This is, we have this dial set on 4, and this, I believe, is the blades, and we have the blades. These turn the blades all the way down. It's a Starfrit. You can get them at Amazon, or probably even Walmart. It just does such a perfect job. Now these are going to have to go out by the fire earlier than what they would normally be for an oven dinner. Whoops. All right. Let's give these a rinse. Rinse all the starch off, and they cook up better. Now, 4 jars always tops. Those are canned pork, juice, fat, and all. Put this on the bottom. Put a layer of potatoes. like this. Let's pour the water off our onions and celery. Put them in the middle, just like that. Spread the onions and the celery out. Handful of peppers. Put half our can of mushrooms on here. The rest of the potatoes. All on top, just like that. The rest of these mushrooms. All over there. Now you want the potato. You don't want the potatoes stuck together if you can help it, because it takes them longer to cook. All right, and on goes the mushroom soup. If you see me doing this a lot, we got to use up the potatoes, and the mushroom soup are needing to be used up as well. A little bit more pepper. All right, we're going to put our piece of tin foil shiny side down. We're going to put a rack in our big Dutch oven. In this goes, and it just fits. We're going to ask Howard to come and get this and put it on a rock beside the fire. Okay, Howie has taken our supper out to the fire, and I'm just going to butter this little camp. This is what I used to make bread when we're like doing it over an open fire. I'm going to butter it up really nice there. Let's see. Okay, see how it's nice and bubbly and frothy? So now, I have an egg that got cracked earlier, so I don't want to leave it in the fridge, so I'm just going to pop it in here. Give us a whisk. Get that egg mixed right in there. Turn in some flour. Some salt. About half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, depending on your preference. There we go. Yes, I've washed my hands, folks. I'm just going to knead this flour in. This is only going to get one rising. I kind of cheated by adding flour and yeast and getting it bubbling to start. I count that as my first rise, and I didn't dampen the counter before I put this mat on it. We want it smooth and elastic. See how when I pull it, it pulls back? That's elastic. And you don't want it too dry, but you don't want it too sticky either. We're just going to do this, and we're going to drop it in our little pan there, and we're going to cover it. Got some flour stuff in there. We're just going to set it in here until it's ready to go out. Okay, so we're going to be taking this out to the fire and setting it close enough to the fire to rise, and then when it gets ready to be cooked, we will put it closer to the fire. Okay, supper's over there and Howie's just turned it. How's our sap doing? Oh, yeah, we're getting down there for sure. And here's our bread. It's not risen, I showed you in the house, but we're going to put it, yeah, somewhere. No, not even close. It's got to rise first, so it just wants to be warm. Oh, my shoulder. There we go. So we have scalloped potatoes with peppers, onions, celery, mushrooms, mushroom soup, and canned pork. And that's our bread. How's things going in the garage?
Good.
Okay.
Almost there.
Okay, I'm going to sit down and have my tea and do a live.
Okay.
Alrighty. Looking good, Papa.
Yeah, it's coming. It's just starting to get to that point where it's going to start going down.
You want to leave a glove with me? Oh, you did? Okay, okay. What happened to your good black and yellow leather ones?
I dropped them in the snow one night coming in from work, and I ran over it with the snowblower.
Oh, that's when the shear pins went.
Well, one of the times.
Yeah, one of the times. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, maybe this is just warm. There, our bread has risen. And we're just going to now move this right over. Right over. Nope. I'm just going to set it right here. And then we'll turn it every, I don't know, 10 minutes or so to make sure it cooks evenly all around. So, the bread is almost ready and there is steam coming out of the big Dutch oven. So as soon as the bread is done, Howie's going to bring these in the house and we're going to have supper. And we'll finish boiling the sap tomorrow after this fire dies. All right, folks. Oh, kick the lid off. Must be steam sealed. There we go. Oh, there's our bread. Not bad for a fireside loaf. Look at our lovely loaf of bread. The only thing I have to recommend is always make sure you're turning it, okay, every 10 minutes or so. Now let's look at supper. All right, don't grab that lid, Bev, without a friggin' thing. You've burnt your... Oh, the steam! All right, folks. Oh, I can smell it. All right, let's just see what we got going on here. Oh, yummy. And a hunk of bread with butter. Oh, those potatoes are... Look at this. It's like stew almost. Yum. How hungry are you, dear?
Very hungry.
Very hungry. See, this is just another way. Now let's call this a pantry pull fireside meal. Now let's get him some bread. Father's fork. And putting my fingers in the snow actually helped. I just don't want to touch anything hot. Let's have a look at our fireside bread. Look at that. All right, let's get Daddy a hunk of butter on there. Yes, I have spreadable butter, but guess what? Homemade bread deserves real butter.
Oh,
What?
I'd divorce you if you put that stuff on.
Pardon me?
I'd divorce you if you put that.
He'd divorce me if I put it on homemade bread.
Crap on homemade bread. Yes.
Jumpins. And I wouldn't blame you.
There you go.
And I can say that because I know that would be something he'd never do. But that just goes to show what he thought. All right, let's take this over to Papa and see what he says about our fireside dinner that he's telling everybody on Facebook he cooked. Here you go, dear.
Stewie.
M-O-O-N, that spells stew. It's hot.
So what is it?
This is just, it's scalloped potatoes, celery, peppers, onions, mushrooms, and pork, canned pork, and homemade bread. It turned out more like stew, but how did the bread turn out? Yeah, you got to take a bite of that and save some. I gave you a nice thick piece so you could sop up the juice. There you go.
Awesome, I did a great job cooking.
Thank you, dear. What about Princess?
What do you think?
Oh, yums.
Is that good?
Yum, yum, yums. And there's my supper, and there's just enough bread left that we could have toasted homemade bread with homemade jam for dessert. This is the Mrs. Volpe from Our Half Acre Homestead saying I'm going to dish me up some of that and get into my PJs to watch TV for the rest of the evening with Papa. Take care, God bless, and there is your pantry pull fireside Dutch oven supper. Take care, God bless.